What is up, everyone? Welcome to Reality Room Podcast with Chris. And today we have a really, really special guest with us today. We got the one, the only, Paladin Shane. What's up, Shane?
What is up, guys? What is up? Thank you so much for having me.
Anytime, man. I gotta have all the Paladins in. We gotta talk about this. You guys, you gotta save a whole kingdom.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's some pressure.
It was definitely a lot coming into it, but I think we learned the way a little bit.
Yep, that's right. All right, and today we're gonna be talking about episode 6. We only have 3 more episode recaps, so it's really sad. We're like getting down to the nitty gritty. But this episode was called "Betrayal from Within," and man, was there a lot of betrayal. I don't know who to trust anymore. Do I even trust me? All right, so we go to Castle Aura, and Adeline, she gets up and she goes into the chapel or the kingdom throne room, and she touches the crown. No, she touches something, and she has a vision, and we see Dravis, and everyone knows my thoughts on Dravis. I am not a fan of Dravis. I've never been a fan of Dravis, and I probably just won't be. So she touches the staff. She wakes up. She thought she was dreaming. She probably was. I don't know. So what are your thoughts of when you saw this? Because I know you guys didn't have all the information. So when you saw this portion of it the first time, what were your thoughts?
Well, we didn't know that something had happened with Adeline and the scepter. And at this point, like weird things were happening, and we were kind of suspicious of a bunch of people. We didn't know who to trust, just like you. So when I saw it on screen, I didn't know that this was what happened, obviously. So I was really tripped up. I was like, what is going on in the story? Like, what is happening with these royals? What are these visions? What do they mean? But I think this, along with the fact that I had already known that Princess Adeline had been accused of stealing the scepter, I started to put the things together and started to assume that something bad was happening from within, and Tavora and Dravis might have influences on the royals.
Yeah, and then we saw, like, in the last episode, like, Adeline was the only one out of the royals who didn't drink the truth potion.
Yep.
And that mean I'll be honest with you, like, I don't trust her if she's not going to drink it with everyone else. I don't know. Yeah. She kind of did it to herself a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah, she definitely was always playing a little bit of a strategy game, and I think her not drinking the truth potion was just another one of her moves, because she got a lot of information without having to give up any information. So I think it was definitely a little bit of a smart play on her end.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so then we get to this, like, intense moment with you guys. You're cleaning up your area. I would call it probably your hub area, where Tavora called you guys out, and you didn't take it. You guys were upset. Especially Tashani, like, calls her out too. And Tashani, honestly, at this point, like, she's starting to, like, get very sassy with everyone. Even, like, Prince Cedric later on. Like, what are your thoughts on, like, Tavora at this point, and, like, her, like, basically putting you guys down when you guys lost that challenge?
Well, I have to say Tashani did a very great job of representing how we all felt in that moment. I mean, obviously, we're not really big fans of Tavora. Tavora around the castle, but we never really interacted with her, and so along with these little messages that she was sending us and the final battle, we never really got to to interact with her. So her like trying to get into our heads like this, we were kind of mad. We were annoyed. We were like, we are putting in all this work. We're going on this quest to stop you, and you think you can get into our heads and trip us up. So I think Tashani did a great job of representing all of our anger.
Yeah.
And I'm proud of Tashani too. She got a little bit of her, or she developed a sense of her own voice, and she developed that sassiness against even the royals. So it's really cool.
Yeah, and we'll definitely get into that because I have a lot to say about that part too.
All right. Okay.
So the king, requests your presence,
Mhm.
and the king like basically tells you that the fates abandon you guys because of the quest that you guys had, the team quest that you guys had before, and Mina's like, nah, I don't think so. We're not done here. And then
Yeah.
you guys, had your speeches. I think individually you all spoke up to the king, and the king's like, it's over, guys. But at least you have your kingdom to save.
Yeah.
And then you guys leave, and then the orb lights up, and I believe war is coming. The hour is at hand. I don't know who said that, but I just have that in quotes. So, what were your thoughts when you were able to voice your opinion to the king, and then be able to continue on with the quest?
Well, I can tell you that it was a huge contrast, right? Because we all at this moment thought that our quest was over and that this experience was over and that we kind of failed, right? Because we didn't defeat Tavora yet. So we were broken. We were really, really, really broken. And then, Mila speaks up and the fates are like, you're still on. And just given that second chance, I guess, by the fates nonetheless, like it just really felt like what we were doing, it was working, and our quest wasn't for nothing, and us 8 paladins like as teenagers could really save Everealm. I guess that's what I was trying to convey when I talked to the king. I guess I think a lot of what I said, even in back in episode 3, all the way back when Prince Emmett asked me to speak up to those imposter Osterites, what I kept repeating was that us 8 would not stop at anything to help defeat Tavora and to save Everealm. And I think that really shines through here too. Like we weren't going to stop because the king told us that our quest was over until the fates themselves told us. So I think we weren't willing to stop. We weren't going to stop, and I think the fates gave us a second chance because they recognized that.
I don't like her.
There she is. There she
There
is.
she is. She's like,
Yeah,
I'm Cruella the villain, the evil queen from Once Upon a
he
Time.
has incredible vibes. She's a sick villain. I have to give it to her. She looks sick, but we kind of had to stop her.
Yeah, you have no choice.
Yeah.
I saw her backstory from last episode. I
Hmm.
had a lot of mixed feelings about her. I blame Dravis. I always blame Dravis more than I blame Tavora, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
Um, so the king and Adeline talk, and Adeline thinks that it's Dravis, and we have a really special segment, that we have to go over.
Hmm.
Can
Can
we
we trust
trust
her?
Dravis? Can we trust
Yep.
Dravis? And honestly, no. I think you guys even called it too, and she says it later in the episode. Like, you guys don't trust Dravis. Like, you haven't trusted Dravis since you got there, and you definitely don't trust him now. So, what are your thoughts of him eavesdropping on the conversation with Adeline and the King, and talking about the Kingstone?
Well, it was really sad for me because coming into this experience, magic was one of the main compelling factors for me and my love of fantasy. And seeing Dravis as the main sorcerer, I was automatically kind of drawn to him as a character. And then he kind of started developing these suspicious tendencies, and I was like, "Come on, man, you're letting me down." And we obviously didn't know that Dravis was eavesdropping on that conversation just yet at that time, but figuring out that he was not to be trusted was really sad, and it was really he let us down because he was one of our kind of, I guess, role models or teachers in this experience, and then he switched to Tavora's side. So it was very unfortunate.
Yeah, I don't like that. Sorry, guys, my camera died out. But I will be back soon. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. So talk about you guys. So you guys walk out, and you see these. I guess I would say peasants, or people that are in the streets. And Myra and
Mhm.
Shine, they bring them food. And Emmett makes a comment like, "Come on, guys, let's hurry up." So what are your thoughts on Emmett? Not Emmett. I think it was Cedric that made the comment of "Hey guys, we have to get to this mission." Did you appreciate the way Cedric and Emmett was kind of acting towards
I see. I didn't remember. I was in the back of the group, so I didn't really remember him saying that. But you bringing it up, I think Cedric, being part of the royal family, has gotten used to a lifestyle, and he can't really be bothered. I guess it's not really that he doesn't care about the people in his streets, but I think it's more that he thinks that the quest is the most important thing in his life right now, and that makes sense,
Yeah.
right? His father had been killed, and this quest is that kind of redemption. So I think I don't know. It's obviously not the greatest comments, but I think it makes sense seeing where he comes from and his priorities are set on retrieving the gemstones, retrieving the scepter sword, and getting back to the Kingstone. So it makes sense.
Yeah, and I get it. Like, you guys have a mission, but like you got to help everyone out too. Like, if you see someone that needs food, like you got to give them food. What are you doing? You're a king.
Yeah, yeah.
And so this really puts like Emmett and Cedric like down in the bottom of like, yeah, I don't want them to rule the kingdom.
I think,
but also at this point, I don't want what's her name, Adeline to run it either because she's a manipulator.
Yeah. And I know personally every paladin kind of was rooting for their own royal to kind of win. Tashani undoubtedly was for Princess Adeline, and you can kind of see her advocate for her always. I don't really remember everybody's choices, but I do remember that Emmett and Adeline probably had the most support in the group. So seeing Cedric kind of say that probably didn't help his case. But all three royals kind of had flaws, right? And just like everybody has flaws, all three royals had something that they could have worked on if they were to be the leader of a kingdom. So seeing Princess Adeline be manipulative like that and see Prince Cedric make these rude remarks, it shows where they need to work on, but it also shows their priorities. Like Princess Adeline is very strategic. Prince Cedric has his eyes set on the Kingstone and the quest. In this situation, Prince Emmett is very, book smart and very strategic as well. So I don't know. I think everybody kind of had their own problems to work on, and this kind of just highlighted that for Prince Cedric.
It's a good point.
Thank you.
So Tashani calls out the royals, like Emmett and Cedric, about that. Like, yo, you gotta give them food. So then we get like a little sneaky moment with Adeline, Princess Adeline. She unlocks the door, and she talks to Tavora, and she basically figures out what's going on with Dravis and the power of the deep. And Dravis decides to do what he does best, and manipulate people. Yeah. Well, it really goes Tavora, then Dravis, and then Dravis manipulates whoever he has to. And I don't even know what he did to her. It seemed like he turned her into like a zombie, and then like she just forgot like what she did.
Yeah, I don't remember the exact spell he used, but I do remember it had oblivion or oblivious in it, which means that she forgot. So he whispers in her ear a curse, a spell, and she kind of forgets everything from that period of time, because then Prince Emmett and Prince Cedric ask her later about her conversation with the king, and she can't remember that either. So she's just kind of put in this mind wash.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. All right, so now you guys have your. Well, we don't have any more team challenges, but we do have I want to say like a 3 to 4 part quest. So let's talk about that. Okay, so now you guys have to get the sword. So the sword is the next one to get. You guys collected the gemstones, but you still have to get the weapons to get the Kingstone. So you guys have to go into the Rune Guard ring, and basically you're training. You're using like these. I don't know what they're called.
The maces,
I think. Yeah, maces, and like you're swinging this thing, and you're hitting things. And how was the training?
It was really fun. We didn't get to practice with this stuff beforehand, so that what you see on screen is what we were practicing for the first time. The sword and shield we did get to practice a little bit before, and you saw that in episode 3, I think. But when we were swinging the maces, it was like the first time we were getting used to like like handling it on the handle and trying to keep it in a smooth circle. It's a lot harder than you think. Like it's not easy.
Yeah, that looked really, really, really hard.
Yeah.
So you guys had like a 3-part competition. So you guys had
Mhm.
to use your mace and you had to target these objects that were in these platforms, like these pole platforms. But
Mhm.
once you break it, you can't move the platform can't fall on the floor.
Yeah.
So you get 5 points.
Yep.
Caden gets 3, David gets 5, David gets 5. David's a badass. Let me tell you,
David
David
is
is one
um
badass.
yeah, I love David. He's he carries himself with a lot of confidence and leadership in the show. It really shines through. And like when he's doing these types of challenges, he doesn't say he's doing it for himself. It's always for the team. So, when me and David both got 5, and me and David had like a kind of bromance type of thing on the show. You kind of see it. Like
Yeah,
we get really close on the show. So when we both got 5, it was really special for us. We were really proud of each other.
that's good. And we're going to talk more into the next competitions.
All right.
So David gets 5, Tashani gets 3, Serene gets 3, Myra gets 4, Holden gets 5, and Ava has to at least get 4, and she gets all 6.
Yeah.
So I will say at this point, for me, at least in my opinion, I think Ava and David are like the two that have been like the most dominant in the competitions so far.
Yeah. I think, and when we talk about it like after the show, Ava and David's names come up a bunch because Ava carries herself with like a lot of perseverance and determination, and she doesn't let herself like even if she loses, she doesn't really let it affect her that much. And I just talked about David, but I think they both kind of have that sort of drive that you see, and it shows through. Like they win challenges too, and so I guess their actions speak louder than words.
Yep. And so it's Ava, Holden, David, and you. So you guys are in the top 4. I believe it was supposed to just be 3 of you guys, but because two of you tied, like you guys were both able to move on to the next challenge.
I'm not sure. I believe it was 4 originally, but I'm not sure.
I thought she said top 3, but I don't know. That's what I have in my notes.
All right, then maybe you're right.
Yeah. So then we get to the part 2 of the challenge, which is basically, it looks like there's like rocks that are being thrown at you. I don't know if they were actually rocks, but it looked like you guys had like fencing gear on and these
Yeah.
big ass shields where you had to hit 8. You had to basically hit all 8 rocks.
Yeah.
So can you talk about that? Like how it looked like you guys were like Halo characters. Like I don't know why, but like it looked like on the
No,
side.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying with that mesh shield. And my hair was like incredibly long on the show too. So when I put that shield on, like it was like it was like straight back. It's kind of hard to see through those things too. Like the fence, like the mesh doesn't really allow for great eyesight. But I don't know what to say. Like Prince Emmett went up there and he did it first. He was really flashy with it. He did like turns and stuff. And then we went up there, and it was hard. Like those rocks come at you fast, and that shield. Either you can see it on the show. Like people either went with, I think Ava did one hand, and then David had the 2-hand grip. So depending on how you did it, or depending on what you were more comfortable with, it like kind of allowed for a different range of motion. So like it was difficult to try to get all of those rocks like coming from you from all angles. Like yeah.
Yeah, it seemed like one of those, like, if you go to like a baseball ring thing at like like a amusement park, and they had like really fast. Like that's exactly what this competition really was. Except
no, it was like the cannons that they shot us with were incredibly fast. Like I didn't expect it to be that fast. So I played goalie for soccer when I was younger, so I think that definitely helped when I was up there because I was used to seeing things come at you quick and quick reflexes. So yeah.
Well, that definitely helped you out because you missed 0, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I missed
0 shots missed. You missed 0. Ava missed 3. Holden misses 2, and then David only misses 1. So then it's between you and David in the next third part of the challenge. And I actually think this was a really cool episode where it really was all about the weapons that you guys were having to use.
Yeah.
And I'm glad they changed it up a little bit rather than it having to be like a team challenge and then like an individual challenge. So it's cool that this was like incorporated like in the quests in Everealm. So the next challenge, you have to use an arrow from like your machinery and get the most amount of bullseyes. So can you talk about that? Like, how hard was that?
Okay, so David and I talk about this too a lot, but I think originally it might have been supposed to get closest to the bullseye, but then as you see, me and David go back and forth. Like they gave it like a close up at the end of the what's it called, target, and like 3 arrows are right in the center, so they can't really judge like who got closest to bullseye because like there are 3 in the bullseye. So it was judged on whoever got the most closest to the bullseye. And so and I don't know how many viewers have ever shot a scorpion, but that like it's not like it's first of all it's really big and really like hefty. So like when you're moving it, even if you take one hand off, it automatically starts moving again, right? So when you're trying to aim and fire, it's even if you got it like precisely exact where you wanted, when you started to fire, it would move a little bit, so the arrow would move too. And you can kind of tell too in the beginning. Not David did fine, but in the beginning for me, it was very hard to kind of aim. Like it was a struggle to aim, and I was trying to figure out where exactly to look and like kind of what eye to close and stuff like that. But I kind of got the hang of it eventually. But it was scary being up there. Like you have these 2 big weapons and you're firing these like fast arrows at this target. It was cool.
Yeah. So David gets like basically all like within the red range. You get like yellow, white, and then you start like picking up like the habit of like getting it like in the middle.
Yeah.
And then David wins. And he gets the talisman. I don't know what talisman it was, but you guys did really good in that competition. So I think you both should have gotten that, to be honest. But because that was really hard.
Yeah, no, it was it was a crazy. That tournament's my favorite challenge in the show, just because the way it was presented and how fun it was to actually do. That one, by the way, was the talisman of ambition.
Ambition, gotcha.
But yeah, and then no, I mean David's like my brother, so. Really happy that he got that talisman. He deserved it. I think we both did incredible on that challenge, though. It was really fun to do.
Cool. It definitely looked a lot of fun. Like medieval times should start doing that. So David has to lead you guys to the stream because Mila says the fates told David he has to go to the stream to find the sword. And this kind of reminded me of like a King Arthur. Like he had to pull the sword from the stone. Yeah. Which I thought was cool. I like the fact that they have like similarities between that. And then you guys then you see the fates, and there's one extra fate. Fate Karu, I think that's what her name was. And this is the fate that was begging for food at the castle.
Yeah.
And Myra was like, oh well, I think it was Sashani that said that. But Sashani was like, oh man, like we saw
and like I want to make sure that like people know that like Dashani and Myra, like they didn't know that was obviously for a challenge or a talisman. Sorry, they're just incredibly kind people, and they did that out of the kindness of their hearts. They stopped us going on they stopped our little like trek to give these people food. So I think their kindness was well deserved, like well rewarded. And so when we saw that fate, and we were like, wait a second, is that her? It was really cool. It was like really cool to see Tashani's and Myra's reaction as well.
Yeah, and so they both get talismans. And there was like a moment where I don't know, one of the fates said something to Myra about I don't know, like the hair, like getting that talisman on the hair or something like that.
Yeah, that was like honestly like a really beautiful moment. I think she said that Myra's crown was as beautiful as hers or something like that. That was really like because that wasn't scripted or anything. That was on the spot. So I think that was a really special moment. It was really fun to like see in person, and they showed it on screen too. So.
Yep, it was cool. So you give the divine sword to the king, and then you guys are at the fire pit. You guys have a moment. You have conversations about like the team, working as a team, the one true hero, and that's kind of been the theme with you guys, you paladins, for like the past 6 episodes. It's all been about combining what a one true hero is, but also acting as a team to make sure that the mission is successful. So, yeah, that was at the fire pit. So, you have anything you want to talk about during the fire pit that we missed? Maybe.
I think those fire pit moments were really special because like we kind of got to like just speak our mind about what was happening in our experience. We had one on the first day of filming. We had one then. We had more. But like when we were there, it was just us. There was nobody there was nobody with us. The royals weren't there. It was just us around that fireplace after the fates. So yeah, I guess we just kind of got to talk about whatever we wanted about like what we thought was going to happen next or what we thought was happening at the time. I think it was really cool just to be there and have that sort of like intimate conversation environment.
Yeah, and no Tavora. Tavora.
And no Tavora.
Yeah. She's gone. I don't know what she's doing, but she's not there. So the scepter was stolen,
mm-hmm.
and the king calls out Adeline,
mm-hmm.
and she's like, "I didn't do it,"
yeah.
And you guys are like, "Yeah, Adeline didn't do it. It wouldn't make any sense."
Yeah,
and I believe it was like Dravis or something like that. Dravis was like.
Yeah.
Dravis making a face, and all of you guys were like, "Guys, it's probably Dravis. It's probably Dravis." And the king is just—I think the king is just kind of gullible at sometimes. You know what I mean? Like I think Dravis told the king it was Princess Adeline.
It was his guard. It was the king's guard.
Right.
Yeah, because they searched because the scepter was stolen, so they searched the castle and they found it in Princess Adeline's room. So I mean, in my opinion, right, like if I were in the king's position, I would probably have done the same thing, right? Because you have no other information to go off of, and at this point, the king doesn't really know anything about what's happening with Dravis. So there's all the signs point to Adeline in this scenario, and even though we as paladins and watchers know that it was obviously not Adeline, the king can't really do anything about that if all the signs and evidence are pointing to Adeline.
Mm-hmm. I guess that makes sense. Although I'll blame Dravis for everything.
Exactly.
So she's from the quest, which isn't really that bad for now. Tashani for the 3rd time or 4th time this season calls out anyone who disagrees with her. Like, you guys are framing her, and that's stupid.
Yeah.
And the king's like, no, go ahead. What were you saying?
No, yeah. I was just gonna say, Shawnee, she was very she was very confident in what she had to say, and so I think, which is like that's very inspiring that she like stuck with what she believes so truthfully. So yeah, she defended Princess Adeline with like her entire soul. Like she was not willing to back down.
Yep. Yeah, Holden said she could have set her up. Hold on, just want to make sure my audio is not okay. It's
okay. Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, it's a bit better now.
Okay, I thought it was like not good.
No, you were fine the entire time.
Yeah. But... Okay, good. So then we get a moment with Cedric, and you can't trust anyone at this point. Like seriously, like Princess Adeline gets blamed for stealing the scepter, and then what happens is the scepter and the sword are both in the exact same spot the scepter was stolen from. Like he really just goes into the chapel or whatever and like takes the sword and leaves. He trusts Dravis, and I don't know why anyone trusts Dravis at this point, but Dravis gives Cedric a bottle, and then Cedric also has a vision after he touches the sword. And I would think at this point, like Cedric, listening to what Princess Adeline said, would have thought like she was telling the truth because he also had the same type of vision that she did.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I mean, honestly, with the vision thing, right? Like each royal probably after that vision felt that they were given a sign to see to be the ruler of the kingdom. So either they didn't want to talk about it because they were like, wait, you had the same vision? I had that vision. or they were like, or at that point, like they didn't know what to believe, right? Maybe Adeline was just making something up to get out of it, in Cedric's opinion, right? So like, and this all kind of comes back to the fact that we as paladins and viewers know that like Dravis can't be trusted. Adeline didn't do it. Cedric had the same vision, but at the time, like none of the characters knew about like that sort of intertwined at the time. So like they didn't know that Dravis was doing all of this stuff behind their backs. So like, I don't know. It was really trippy.
I'm just saying, if you think someone looks like this, you don't trust this and that ever.
Those are interesting comparisons.
That's all I have. So that was basically it for the episode. We have 2 more episode recaps left. And it's starting to get down to nitty gritty. You guys have one more weapon to find until you have to find the one true hero and save Everealm if you could do it. So let's get into how you got involved with the show. So let's talk about how you got cast. What was the process like, and what was it like going into Everealm?
Well, I auditioned for the show back in March of 2020, and then it was almost a full year of casting process. And then I got the news that I was casted. I would have to say maybe around October, those 3 months, October, November, December, of 2020. And then we filmed a few months after that in 2021. And when we got to Everealm, right? So as paladins, we weren't allowed to see each other before the filming started, just to keep that sort of, we all met each other. Yeah. So I was the second one to arrive. They don't show it that way, like in the show, but I was the second one to get on set. So Serene was already there, Paladin Serene. And we introduced each other, and as more and more paladins came, we kind of got a sense of who we were and who was in the group. But it was a very quick introduction. So, we didn't know that much about each other. And then we were immediately pushed into this world. We see Mila ride a horse right where we were into the castle. We follow her, and we're ushered to the throne room, and we meet the royals. And it's like boom, 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 one thing after another. And in my opinion, I loved it like that, because it kept like the sort of suspense and stuff like that rolling, because we just got transported into this world of Everealm, and then we're immediately telling our stories and learning about the quest. So it was really fun. It was really cool. And I really loved that fast-paced sort of nature of the first few episodes.
Oh, I was anything else?
No, yeah. I mean, I think that's it. Like, and I know like a main thing with the show is that like the paladins don't get introduced that much. Like in the beginning, like you don't really get that much information about us specifically, which is why it's kind of hard to root for us. And I kind of see that, but it was really, I mean, there was like one thing after another, and you have to understand, like, right, like we filmed so much, and they can only fit into like 45-minute episodes and 8 episodes. So it was very fast paced, very fun, definitely magical. That's definitely a good adjective I would use to describe that sort of experience.
I definitely think that what they could have done was maybe have like a separate section, like for like the extra section, with like some sort of interview with you guys, like just about like your name, your age, or like what you do, like stuff like that. I mean, that would have been good. I guess it could go either way, because like I sort of gotten to like know you guys like along the way of like the episodes, like I like the competitive side of you guys. And a little bit more of the social side, but just not too much of like like about you guys, like your where you live, your family, like that. But there's always more seasons, so they can, if they want to change anything, I know that they can. But I like the pacing is really fast though. Like there's lots of challenges. The villains are really interesting. I know we had some. I know the first villain, we had like some witch thing that looks like Rumple, like, and then we had like a White Walker that had antlers on them. It's crazy. Yeah.
So you're talking about the witch and then the drag. You're talking about the strength challenge, right? Yeah. So I mean, okay, like in my opinion too, when I talk about it in other interviews and stuff, like those creatures were some of the like most fun and coolest things about the experience, because everything that you see on TV is what we were seeing in real life. So when we showed up to that dark forest with lanterns and smoke, and we saw that witch with that googly eye, like that gem eye, that was scary. Like that was trippy, and I was like, whoa, like this is the first. We're here for the first day, and we're already doing this. Like it was crazy. And then with the Dragior, I mean, dang, that guy's tall. He's big, so he's definitely scary. And like the amount of detail on his body, and like the talismans are on his arm, and he has the gem in his hand, like that's crazy to see in person. And then you're kind of like you're in a vulnerable spot, right, holding these rocks, and he's just in your face trying to get in your head. It's crazy. There's a lot going on.
That seemed like the hardest challenge, as far as like the physical challenge. Like that rock holding one is like, you had to like hold on to this bar with all these rocks coming down, and like that seems like a competition that's like not even like shows like Survivor and all these other shows where it's very endurance based. So the fact that you teenagers are like holding up a bar with like probably 300 pounds of rocks, like
no, yeah, it was hard.
Props to you guys for doing that.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I mean, it's like, it's not even that the weight gets to you. It's just the fact that you're there for so long, right? Like it starts weighing down on you, and then this guy's in your ears trying to get you to drop it. He's like yelling at your face and stuff. It's just all these factors are just you just want to drop.
Yeah. So I mean, that was really it for the episode recap. I know we have 2 more episodes left. We're gonna have Serena on tomorrow at 8 p.m. and then we're gonna have the winner, or the one true hero, on the final episode. And I'm not spoiling anything, but and then after that, maybe we'll have I think you guys should have a trivia night or something like that.
I mean, honestly, like the Paladins are always talking about like wanting to meet each other again in person, but like just the way that we're all scattered across the nation, it's not really easy to find the central or even like a place and time to do it. And like money, and like we can't just fly out whenever we want. We're still kids. So like if we can find a way to like get us all on an interview together, or like do some sort of thing with like that with us, that would be really cool. I think we would all appreciate that.
Yeah, that would be dope. All right. Sure. Well, that was it for the episode recap, guys. Thank you so much for coming on to Reality Room Podcast, and take care, guys.
Thank you, guys.